Gemma McCaw has come out of retirement. The former Black Sticks hockey international is playing in the National League pre-season. So could the new mum add to her 200 plus caps for the national team? Michelle Prendiville caught up with Gemma today.
She's still got the pace and still got the flair.
Oh, I'm a bit rusty. I think, a few missed traps and that, but I'm not going to be too hard on myself at this stage.
Fair enough, when just 8 months ago, Gemma McCaw gave birth to her first child. The new mum is making an inspirational comeback to sport, commuting from Christchurch to play in the top National Hockey League for her home region of Midlands.
Really enjoying it. I'm loving just the opportunity to run around again. I try not to look over on the sideline too much and stay focused.
You've got to take your hat off to any mum that has to experience being a mum and then get yourself back into running around and dealing with the day-to-day with kids and training and all those sort of things. So yeah, she's done well to get back.
It's been 3 years since fans have seen the former Black Stick, previously known as Gemma Flynn, carve up on the hockey field.
Up that right flank, using his speed.
The 29-year-old officially retired from the international game in October 2017, but like we've seen with many Kiwi sporting mums, a comeback to the world stage can never be dismissed.
How likely is it to see you back in the black?
Well, you can never rule it out, never say never, but at the moment just focusing on Midlands and NHL. It's in Tauranga, my hometown. Another reason for playing, so I'm not getting too far ahead of myself at this stage.
And when juggling life, motherhood and all the travel in between, small wins are what make the journey worth it.
Made it.
Michelle Prendiville, One News.
Trans-Tasman war is brewing over one of our brightest young athletes after Eddie Osei-Nkatia claimed the Australian 100-metre national title overnight. The Kiwi-born 17-year-old is at school in Wellington but only moved back from Australia this year. With the latest, Michelle Prendiville joins us from our Auckland newsroom. Michelle.
That's right, Abby. It was just last month he won our national men's title and now he's done the same, but across the ditch, something that's potentially never happened before. You can see Eddie in the vision here in lane 3 mowing down his competition to win the men's 100 metres at the Aussie Champs in Sydney last night. And early in the semi-final, he set a new personal best of 10.19 seconds. The world under-20 world record is 10.14. Now, despite being born in New Zealand, he's lived in Australia for the past 8 years. Currently, he's on a scholarship at Wellington Scots College and his big dream is to play rugby for the All Blacks. But complicating that is his increasingly impressive sprint times. I spoke to Athletics New Zealand's Scott Goodman and he told me they want him to represent New Zealand, and spoke to Eddie's family again this afternoon and believe they're in a good position to keep the 17-year-old here. But obviously his win across the ditch has turned heads there. The guy he beat in last night's race, Aussie sprinter Rowan Browning, even tweeted saying he hopes Athletics Australia are doing everything to keep him in the country. It's understood Athletics Australia has met with Eddie today and made some promises on his future. They want him for the World Relay Championships, which are next month. Whether he can get a passport in time is another question. I messaged Eddie late this afternoon. He said to me he's always weighing up his options, but time is obviously of the essence.
It certainly is. It will be very interesting to watch. Thank you. That's Michelle Prendiville, live from our Auckland newsroom.
In other sport, Eliza McCartney continues to be plagued by injuries. This time a hamstring problem has ruled her out of tomorrow's Sir Graham Douglas athletics meet in Auckland. McCartney's withdrawal means some emerging talent has the chance to impress. Michelle Prendiville has more.
Olivia McTaggart's firmly set on reaching new heights, and there's a lot riding on tomorrow's Sir Graham Douglas event.
I don't want to put too much pressure on myself, but I'm just going to go out there, have some fun, enjoy the crowd, and we'll see what happens.
The 19-year-old's hunting down qualification for the World Championships in September, and she's on track to do it after what's been a dominant year in the absence of an injured Eliza McCartney, winning the Sydney Classic and Nationals last month.
Goals are progressing and so is training, and I'm getting on bigger poles, so yeah, it's been really exciting.
Olivia's personal best is 4.46 metres. She needs to go 10 centimetres higher in order to guarantee World Championship qualification. If she can do that tomorrow, it'll be the first time we've ever had 2 Kiwi pole vaulters at the World Championship event. That's provided Eliza McCartney is fit to compete.
Former heptathlete Portia Bing's also chasing another world championship, but this time in the 400-metre hurdles. Last month, the 26-year-old broke a national record while taking down 11-time Australian champion Lauren Wells.
She's going to get the win.
Finishing just 0.04 seconds short of the world champ's qualifying time.
The realisation that I was 0.04 from our qualification didn't sink in until maybe a week later, but I was kind of trying to get into the mindset that I was like, let's just enjoy the PB right now.
And after only being back in athletics for just over a year, she's staging the perfect comeback.
I've had a killer of a season. Like, if nothing else happened this year, I was like, I'd be stoked.
A lot on the line tomorrow as she gets one step closer to returning to the most elite of world stages. Michelle Prendiville, One News.
Kiwi paracyclist Alsha Malspender is using her love for cycling to make the best of what is now a lifelong injury. The 57-year-old was victim of what's believed to be a hit-and-run accident, but is now bound for the Paracycling World Championships. And a warning, some pictures may be disturbing. Michelle Prendiville has more.
This is Alsha Malspender 3 years ago, suffering from a severe brain injury after an apparent hit and run on a training ride in the King Country.
She'd pitched straight over the handlebars and smashed her head straight into the ground.
Her brain injury so bad she was given the lowest possible survival rate. In a coma for 3 months, doctors thought she'd never speak again. But 5 months later, she was proving everybody wrong.
Everything was difficult and still everything is difficult. I can't just jump up and go to the toilet. I have to concentrate even when I walk.
Before the accident, Malspender had ridden competitively for 30 years, even riding parts of the Tour de France. It's that love of the sport that's kept her moving.
The cycling was my life.
How much of your life is it right now?
More than ever.
The German-born Kiwi now rides a trike for New Zealand, and she's already leading the world in the T1 classification, winning gold in both the road race and time trial at the Paracycling World Cup in Belgium this year. Next week, it's the world champs in the Netherlands.
That's absolutely amazing that a body that was more or less shutting down can make it compete on an international stage.
And there's more big plans for the 57-year-old also chasing a Paralympic dream.
We'd expect to see Alsha won at Tokyo and probably podium at Tokyo.
She's defied the odds this far. The only direction Malsbender's going is forward. Michelle Prendiville, One News.
Kia ora, welcome into sport. We're sorry. Those are the words from Hockey New Zealand as its women's players for an environment where bullying, harassment and unprofessional behaviour went unchecked for years. The apology follows a review into team culture, with Hockey New Zealand fronting the media today. Michelle Prendiville was there.
After months of delay, Hockey New Zealand finally revealing its long-awaited review into the Black Sticks women's team culture.
It should never have got to this point. And Hockey New Zealand unequivocally apologises to all those who have had a poor experience.
A total of 65 people came forward to speak to independent reviewer Maria Dew QC, but she was the glaring omission from today's press conference, along with her full report itself, many wondering why those details haven't been made public.
No, there's nothing to cover up. Again, if we go back to the start of this whole process, confidentiality is fundamental. We had to start this process because we didn't know stuff.
But what they did disclose was their own summary of Dew's findings, all confirming what One News revealed last year about a negative environment within the women's team. 70% of past and present players reporting serious concerns for more than 2 years.
Do you believe that these players should be having access to this review?
Yes, that's where we have a different position than Hockey New Zealand, which we've conveyed to them. We do believe that anyone who participated in the review, current or past players, have really gone out on the to do so, and that they should have access to the Maria Dew review and the outcomes of it.
Hockey New Zealand wouldn't be drawn on any specifics of claims made by interviewees in the review conducted by Maria Dew QC. However, in their own 3.5-page summary, they do mention the words bullying, harassment, discrimination and unprofessional behaviour. Interestingly, none of the findings make any mention of departed coach Mark Hager.
So the review was always about the overall environment, so Mark would have seen a draft copy, but the final copy was with us when he resigned.
But what both parties have agreed on is there's now only one way forward, and that's to work together for the good of the game. The first initiative is to appoint a welfare liaison officer to ensure the players' voices are heard. Michelle Prendiville, One News.
Well, first up tonight to hockey, and it's a step into the unknown for the new national coach. Irishman Graham Shaw has officially begun his role as Black Sticks women's coach after a tumultuous time for the game here. Shaw has opened up about what he wants to achieve and has fronted on talk about his immediate past. He sat down today with Michelle Prendiville.
His first morning on the job, and new Black Sticks women's coach Graham Shaw is thriving.
It's actually a role that I've always admired for many years. I'm even talking back into when I was in my early 20s. It's I've always wanted to come down and live in New Zealand.
That dream now a reality for the former Irish women's head coach, but he's not planning on making too many drastic changes.
I'm not going to change their style because it's their style that attracted me in the first place. So it's trying to develop them, and it's trying to make things just a little bit better.
And it's needed after months of public division within the hockey community, Mark Hager's tumultuous departure and a damning review into the women's team culture. Shaw's proven success with Ireland a huge factor in his appointment. He took the Green Army to the World Cup final, becoming the first ever Irish sports team to do so. After winning silver, he was voted Ireland Coach of the Year, beating out Joe Schmidt. The decision to leave before Olympic qualification, tough.
This role has been occupied now for the last 10 years, so if you don't grab it now, when is it going to come up again?
But that was enough to create speculation as to why he'd leave his rising stars. Following Shaw's departure, it was claimed players had been silenced over an alleged falling out with their coach. He says it was just the opposite.
Sometimes people expect everyone to go public with their thank yous and everything. That's not how we deal with things within the Irish hockey team. You know, they've wrote me really beautiful emails and letters to thank you for my time, and I care very much about the Irish players.
Reports out of the New Zealand camp, he's already making an immediate positive impact. Michelle Prendiville, One News.
As summer kicks into gear, the nation's top surf lifesavers have been battling it out in the gruelling Mount Monster in the Bay of Plenty. It's gained a reputation of testing the strongest athletes in the country, and with 4 disciplines in the 25-kilometre course, anything can happen. Michelle Prendiville was there.
Hamish Miller setting his sights on history to be the first back-to-back Mount Monster champion.
3, 2, 1...
The 20-year-old switched his focus to the Olympic sport of triathlon this year, and that helped the race favourite lead the charge down the Mount Maunganui coast. This is the most challenging part of the race. Athletes have just finished a 5k beach run where they now have to navigate their way down the rocks to the end of the island. Then it's the iconic plunge off Mochiriki. Things looked promising for Miller in the 1,500-metre swim, but that was all about to change. 16-year-old Joe Collins punched ahead in the ski. Collins not only had the threat of the defending champ, but also Miller's training partner, Declan Dempster. Dempster and Collins battling it out on the final board leg for a new champion to be crowned.
It was so hard. It was bloody grind, mental, physical, it was just ridiculous.
Taranaki's Collins hung on for second.
I thought I'd be behind Hamish and more 3rd or 4th or 5th. So I'm pretty stoked.
Miller taking bronze, capping off one of the most unpredictable monster finishes to date.
What are you going to do to celebrate tonight?
Sleep. There'll be something, I don't know, but definitely need my rest after that.
And who wouldn't after taming the toughest event on the surf calendar? Michelle Prendiville, One News.